Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. I got the other quarter panel skin put on. You would figure I did the other quarter panel. This one would be easy. No. Stick around. Well, in the last video, I went and rebuilt this section up front here. I made it up of multiple pieces and used part of the factory pieces. If you want to check out that video, go here and you'll see how I made that one there. Plan is today is to get this quarter panel straightened away for this here. This paneling here now is something I cut this out the last time. The quarter panel on the other side is completed. There's videos on that as well, okay? And the wheelhouse and stuff like that. So I got that all made. I got to duplicate that. And again, I had to look at the video. I said that in the last video. That I had to have a quick look at my old video. So I made sure that when I do this stuff, I'm going to repeat the process what I did before. I don't want to go try to reinvent the wheel and try something different because it never turns out the same way, okay? So I got to get this here ready now and run it through the English wheel and do the work on it. What this paneling is, this is like a large steel cabinet, okay? I picked up a bunch of sheets of it a while ago and I use it for all my metal work. I have a whole bunch of this stuff. I use a lot of recycled metal. I very rarely buy steel. In terms of like at a shop 4x8 sheets, I always end up with this stuff. It has a white coating on it, which is like a powder coating. I'm going to leave this on it for now. I'll leave it on the inside so that I can actually, it's an actual protective coating on the inside and the outside will grind off. But I'll leave it on for now. It works fine as kind in the English wheel, right? So what I got to do is, over here now, I got the English wheel all set up. I got the I-beam set up here now to act as a table because I'm doing this by myself. I don't want the piece of steel to fall off. I want something that I can guide across so I can get stuff done. On this here now, I got to raise this up. Very slight crown. This is over exaggerating it, and I got to do this. So I got to bring the middle up a small bit and then work my way out. I talked about it in the other video on the other quarter panel, and you can actually see that I actually marked it here, and then I marked it here. So I'll do the center, and I'll wheel it, and then I'll move out from it, and I'll just start moving out. So each time I move out, I'm going to continuously go over the middle section, and the farther I go out, the middle will get worked more than the outside. Like if you just start running paneling the English wheel back and forth over this here, it's just going to curve on you this way, okay? You start in the middle and just raise up the middle and then work your way out to the outside edge like that. What'll end up happening then is the middle will be higher than the outside edge. So I'm going to set everything up here now, get started on this, and start running this through the English wheel. Now, I'm no master at this. I'm still teaching myself. One thing I find with English wheel work is you can watch a lot of videos on it and pick up a lot of stuff and a lot of good tips and stuff like that. But until you actually use one and actually see what's happening and see where your mistakes are to, and I find your mistakes is what you learn from. And, you know, you're going to make a lot of mistakes using one of these. And it's just a matter of getting used to it and feeling it out. And don't expect to get them perfect panels like you see like the guys got on TV and stuff like that. It takes many years to master this wheel, okay? It's not something you're just going to pick up. It's not like a lot of the MIG welding tricks that I show you. Once you do it once, you figure it out. This is sort of a hands-on type of tool, understanding how metal moves. And this is a large panel, so trying to figure that out. I'm still a rookie at it. I get by, I just figured I want to show you there. I have issues with my lines, like overlapping on my lines. You're supposed to keep your overlaps small, and I got a tendency every now and again to go too far out. But that's a lot of times because the way the wheel rolls and when it's biting down, if you turn it just a small bit, it'll just wander right off. But, you know, that's how you learn. That's what I'm at here today, learning. Okay, I got a lovely little crown on that there now, going this way. You can see that, and this crown going this way on this, and it's also going this way. It's hard to see because it's such a long panel, right? Going that way. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to turn around and start working this section up here, and working the middle a bit more. I want to get the middle up a bit higher, but up here is flat, and down here is flat. And I had that problem before when I done it, so I'm going to move the English wheel down a bit so I can get this side up here to rest, because when it gets up to too far, there's nothing for it to rest on out here. So, all right, let's do more wheeling. So this is my first try of it, and you can see here now, you take this way here, you can actually see there's a bit of a roll on it. See it that way? That's right through the middle there, down to one end. And of course, there's a big one this way here, right? Right? A big one there, so. But that's it. Like, if you look at that, I'm not going to keep nothing from you. You can see the marks that are in this. My English wheel, okay? I probably never talked about this. Is something homemade. I made this about 15 years ago. My English wheel, it should be more framing on the outside of it to make it stronger, first of all. These wheels I picked up a few years ago, and I haven't done nothing with them. And you can see this one here, the crown, looks like it's flat through the middle here, and that should be polished. Like, these crowns should be polished out, and that's what you're seeing is these lines here. Like, I'm not getting into that. I know for a fact that this car is going to be filled from one end to the other, as long as it's not thick. You don't mind that. So, you know, this is the type of finish it's going to have on it. And it's going to have a scatter one of them little wrinkles in it. If you look at it, you can see it there, little lines, right? I don't say that my work is what you call perfection. The timeline you see me doing my work in, it do need filler work, okay? A lot of guys may think that it's just like, you know, I'm doing it fast and you can finish it. The only difference between my work and the guys that do it and metal finish the car is time. You got to put a lot of time in the metal finishing, okay? It's not something you just go and do and boom, and it's done, it's perfect, okay? So I got this one here all wheeled up here now. I'm going to do a quick test fit on it and see what it's like. So I got it put in place, and I got another cleat put in it, because now it's not going straight no more. And I'm pleased where it's headed to, okay? You can see the little bit of a crown on it. I need to work the edge more right along the top edge here. Okay, I got to work that down, and this side here got to come up a bit. And same with up here. I got to work around this area here. I think the center is pretty good. I just got to work the outer edge of it all now. I got to work around this here and try to get all that to roll over a small bit. There's a lot of this down here is going to be cut off, so I'm going to leave it for now. And same with up on this end here, it's going to be cut off. So I'm just going to take it off now and go work some of the edges of this and see if I can get that to roll in some more. And see what it's like then after that. So I've been wheeling with it, playing with it. I trimmed off the bottom side here. I needed some relief cuts here because the distance here and the distance here changes, and it's really fighting this section down here where there's no wheeling done on it. That's a flat panel. And one problem you got when you're doing wheel work, if you don't do nothing on the outer edge, okay, it tends to fight the middle of it. It's almost like, you know, it's better to, like what I've done down here, I left the panel on and I wheel a bunch of it and then I cut it off. So now the roll is in the wheel itself. where I had wheel work done on it. Right here is trouble because that's just perfectly straight there now, but I need the wheel well straight in that area anyway. Up here, everything along here fits pretty good. I'm running into troubles back here, okay? It sticks out here when it's clamped down. There's a bit of a strain on it, and same with right here, okay? So what I'm going to do here now is I got it marked here. That's the high spot. And in between two of these here now, I'm going to take the shrinker, and I'm going to shrink that section there. I'm going to shrink more in the middle and work my way out to the outside. I'm curious to see what it'll do because like there seems like there's too much metal there, okay? So when there's too much metal, you shrink it, okay? So I'm going to pop that off there now and shrink them two spots and see what happens. Well, it seems to be doing something, right? Because this here now is right easy. I can just bring that in flush there now, right easy. When that's clamped on there, so that there worked up here. Up here is still a bit tight. I think I'm going to do some more. I think I'm going to do the whole section and come up past it, up here more, and try to shrink that some more because that is extremely tight there. I'm just trying to get it so it's a bit more relaxed on the car. I'm still going to have to shape it and whatnot and smooth it out a bit more. So that's what I'm going to do there now. I'll shrink that some more and then see where that takes us. So I got down there now. It's fitting a lot better, okay? I can push in on all that there pretty good there now, right? And down the bottom there, I don't even need to put a clamp or nothing on it. It stays in right nice. It's a bit tight up here, but the reason for that is because we're, like I said, the wheel opening's down here. So what I'm going to do here now is the same thing I did on the other side. I'm going to clean this up around here and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack weld this on, get this in position so it's nice and tight because the clecos are finding it hard to stay in place. There is a strain on it, but the strain is coming from this middle section here, right? So what I'm going to do is weld it on here, tack weld it all the way around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a relief cut. I'm going to mark it all out and everything and cut that center out of it. And that way I can put the wheel well lip in there as well, and that'll relax everything then. So I got them cleaned up around the edges. I just wanted to show you the shape the panel is in. You can see the curvature, the large curvature on the panel there, right? As the way it goes around there. And if you look back this way, you can see the curvature that way as well. There's a fair big curve on it. It seems like you need that in it, and then when you put it on the car and push in on it, it seems to lay right nice. If I never put a big enough curve on it, it'd still look flat all the time. So I'm going to go ahead now and fit this on the car, clean that up there first, that's what I got to do, and I'm going to fit this on the car and tack weld it around so that it's held in place so I can mark out the wheel well. Well, I noticed that wasn't tricky. This had a pattern, okay? This had to be put on a certain way. I started like you would. You figured to start in the middle, work your way out, work your way out, work your way out. Then I got up to this end here, and I had this end here partly welded. What ended up happening, this ended up kinking out big time on me. This panel had to go on this car a certain way, okay? It just couldn't lay on there. I had to weld the back section on first, leave the top all free and the front free, and do the front last. But I got it though. Fits pretty good, right? It's a bit wonky because we're ran through the English wheel and whatnot, and it's got a high spot here, but that's the way they are, okay? So what I got that on there now. What I'm going to work on now is getting the wheel well cut out and getting that wheel lip put on that, so that way the strength is back in there then, and hopefully when I relieves this here, it'll take a lot of stress off of this here, because right now you can look down there, you can see the stress that's on this right here, okay? Well, was that a nightmare? Okay, I've been sitting down here, I'm willing to say, I got well over an hour gone into figuring this out. The problem you got with this car, there's no square points on it, okay? Where do you measure from, okay? I could get a measuring from the door edge back. I had that figured out, okay? But there was nowhere else I could measure off of. So here's what I come up with. This is the template, okay? That I used on the other side, okay? I had a measurement here, forward, measurement here, forward, and a measurement from this point here, forward to here, okay? So I knew what them measurements were. The problem I had is how high did it have to go? This is what I come up with. All I did is, okay, I picked any point that was in close proximity to somewhere where I could measure it, and I drew a line on it, and I drew across, and I drew a line, and I drew across. Then I come up here, and I just took this point here, it is not molested, and I measure from there, and I come back to a set number, and I mark a straight line. There's my point right there. Up here, I took another point, and I marked it. I measured that in the next pattern, this way, so that I can get this here point to be the same. So, like, if the distance from here to here, that's the center, and the distance from there over to the other side is the same, them points are in the same location, okay? And that's typical math. So then I turn around, I come down here, and I pick the spot that's half close to that, because it really don't matter, and I mark it up and down and straight across. What I did, first, I went over here, and I put the spot back on the car, taped it on, lined it up with a wheel well, and then marked all them marks. You can see the marks I have there, and I got the marks up here as well, okay? Forward of the car, did the same measurement here, measure from here, back to here, drew a line, go to the next pattern, put a mark. These were my measurements now. I measured from here down to that point there. How I did that was with my old trusty seamstress tape. This stuff is great. Yeah, there goes the marker. This stuff is great, okay? All I did is I measured it off from here down to here. It was a bit iffy. Let me show you. This is all I did. I had this point here, and I had this point here. I knew what the measurement was on the other side, because I took the measurement when I done that. I took the tape, and I come up here, and I put it on 0 on the inside edge, on forward part of the marker, because putting it forward of it, or behind it, it changes it. All I did is I held that there, I eyeballed it, and just pulled it straight down. And it come out to 20, exactly 20 there, right? To that point there. I knew that then that was 20. Went over the other side, measured it up, it was 20. Did the same thing back there and got my measurements. But this is the only possible way I could figure this out, to get this close. Now, is it perfect? I don't know. But it's close enough to the whole point that you can't see the left and the right. And my measurements here are pretty accurate to the point that I even have forward measurements here and a center line measurement from here. This template is the exact same template used on the other side, and I just marked the lines on this side of the line from the other side. So when I flipped it around, put it on the other side, the measurements are in the same location. So it was just a matter of positioning this in the same spot as what is on the other side, and just find random points and points to start from. Like, you could have used the measurement up in the middle of the roof if you had something to mark it by, and come down like that if you wanted to, right? But I'm telling you, it took me a while to get that figured out, but I got that in place there now. I'm going to mark it out so I can cut it out. Oh boy, that was fun. So, this measurement here is 17 1/4 from this point to the edge of the door. That's what this is here, okay? Down the bottom, it was 17 1/2 from here to this point here. Now, you got to realize this cardboard is just cut in whatever manner. This is just the point I'm after. Is these points here, and I measured them off. That's 17 1/2. And I had this one here, which is a crucial one, which is the center line. That's 38 3/4. From this line here up to here, that's what the measurement got to be, and that's what that one is. These measurements are all on par, so it is what it is. This is where the wheel well is going to go. I'm going to mark that out and cut it out. You might see these other marks I have here. That's where I started to. That was my first guesstimate. Same with this one here, and this line here was starting off. This is where I started to until I figured out this little setup here. So I end up having to move it down, and when I figured out how to make that measurement there. Hey, it's me chair. Wish they'd come out with cordless grinders. Don't want to work. Oh my God. That's sitting a lot better there now. Looking down through there, that's sitting pretty good. I got that all trimmed up now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this lip here. And like the other side, all I did is took a flat strip, perfectly straight, because this wheel lip has to be straight right through here. So I cut off a strip about 1 inch wide and start in the middle and start working my way out. This has got to be perfectly straight going down through here and coming down through here, same as on the other side. And so I'll get this all cleaned up and we'll move on to the next stage. A bit tricky though. Had cut. You see how much of that wastage I had up front when I made that first panel. But it's just one of those things. I was not sure where it was to. Same with back here. You're not sure. This could have been back. It could have been forward. So it's always best to leave, you know, lots extra there so that you know that you've got room to fix things. Before I take this off, I'm going to mark all this and I'm going to trim back this whole quarter panel back like this here and get rid of a lot of what's in behind there, so I haven't got to deal with large pieces and stuff like that. But for now, I want to get this wheel well cleaned up and get the strip put in there. So I went ahead and I just grinded up along the edges there with 24, just so I got something to weld to. The panel is in and out all along here, going along here where it's just flimsy there. When I put the strip in there, the strip will be a straight edge, and I'll start in the middle, work my way out, and that'll straighten all that up. I'll show you the strip. This is what I'm using. I'm using this because there's a straight edge on it. Okay, I'm going to cut this right down the middle, and then I'll be left with a strip going along, down along here, and this will be the piece. I'll clean that off. This stuff is, again, along with the stuff that I picked up a number of years ago. I got all my garage walls divided here. That's steel on the bottom, and I just put that on as a nice little border all the way around the garage. That's what I used. So I'm going to go ahead now, get this stripped off, and cut in half. As I was saying, I was going to cut that down. I said, but Tony, you already cut one for the other side. You should have a strip left over, and I do. So I already got one cut. So I'm going to clean that off there now and get that so I can weld it in. So here's the strip. I got it all cleaned off and I stripped off the end of it. One side is like a machined edge. It was already cut. And then I got the side that I cut off. Now the one that I got cut off is not straight. I'm going to use the machined edge as my guide. All I'm going to do is going to shape this here now. And those are too long and everything. I'll just half it up. And I'll just bend it a bit there so that I can fit it in there. A little bit of roll on it. And all I'll do is I'll set that there like so. I'll start welding that in the middle and start working my way to the outside. And I'll be pulling on the quarter panel to get it all to go straight. So I'll start welding it there now. I think I need to go, man. like that. Turned on me. Well, that didn't go according to plan. What ended up happening here, I was running into a problem back in this corner, and what was happening is I wanted to keep the flat bar flat, and as I was coming around this corner, it was tucking back, so it wasn't staying flat on this cornered edge, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and I cut it off, and I tried redoing it again, and no, it didn't work. What's going on here is the over-exaggerating. This section of the quarter panel came down here and bowed this way, and it was welded on, okay? Down the bottom here. The problem with this is this quarter panel had to be pushed down over this panel here, stretched out a bit, so this here could go in, okay? This is what I had to do. I pushed down on it, and now I got it all relieved there, and I got to clamp down there so I can weld it across there again. The problem with it is that I was forcing the metal to go around the turn, and the quarter panel was fighting me. I got to get that half straight. It's pretty good there now, okay? Before, there used to be a big, this used to come back and then go boop, boop, over-exaggerating it, okay? So I'm going to get that welded up there now, make sure I'm happy with it, and then I'm going to go get a piece that I had earlier that I didn't have to cut, and I'm going to have to cut. Oh my. Look at this lovely mess. Look. Installing wheel lip on 49 Chevy, take 2. Strip number 2. Cleaned off, cut it off, all ready to go. I'm going to shape that there now and fit that in there. The other side come out so nice. One try. They went together right easy. You figure, well, the other side's going to be even easier. Where he comes up with that idea. It was a waste of time to even try to save the other day, because once you straighten this stuff, that's it. You got to start all over again. But hey, I'm human, aren't I? Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, make sure that's like that this time. Nice and straight. All right, get the welder started. That's better. That's better. So there it is. Got it all tack welded in this time. It looks good then when it looks down across it. Right? This nice straight edge there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and I'm going to cut off these 2 excess pieces. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to weld all this up here while it's still on the car. Get all this done. You know, tack, 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 come back, cool it, that type of stuff. Work my way over. Get that there all welded up. That way I can turn around and start getting ready to take this quarter panel off it. But I want to get this fully welded up before I even takes it off the car, because that's where it's staying, okay? If I takes it off, it's still going to be a bit flimsy, and then welds might break and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead, not going to bore you with that. I'll go ahead and get this all welded up. You've seen me do it 100 times. And I'll get that welded up, and when I come back, then I'll have that ready to grind up. There I have it, all welded up. Went around, took my time, cooled it, welded it, cooled it, done all that with it. So I got all that. I want to take it off now and weld it on the inside as well. There's a few things I've done now before I done that. I went ahead and I marked where the panel is to, because I want to cut off as much of this as I can. I might even trim off this a bit more and tidy it up, because there's some edges on it I don't like and whatnot. Another thing I went and did, okay, I got a cleat-goes. I drilled new cleat-go holes. I got one there, and one over there. The existing holes never lined up. If they don't line up, there's no good in drilling a hole there, because you got 2 or 3 holes in that area there now, or you'll have there, and you won't know which one's which. Put a whole new one in it. I eliminated this one. That's why I got X's on them like that. That is there. There's no hole there. Okay? But I guarantee you, in this area here, there's another hole. So when you fix that back up, you'll be like, which one is that? So I got brand new holes made for 3 of them. I want them to position the quarter panel back so it's, you know, it's right this way and whatnot. The height is right. I'm not worried about that down the bottom. I'm going to do the same process again. I'm going to weld it all on. So I'm going to turn around now and remove them cleat-goes and start cutting all these welds and take the quarter panel off the car. Some may be wondering, why didn't I just cleat-go the whole panel on, put a whole bunch of them on? You can. I prefer to do it this way here, because that quarter panel is solid when you weld it on. And it's like only every 4 inches or so. It's just a matter of cutting the weld. I'll clean it all up. Everything will be fine. I just find you get a structurally sounder piece than you do if it was all cleat-goed on. Because the cleat-goes, if there's any strain on a cleat-go, it'll pop and it'll come off, okay? It's fine if it's just a regular flat piece of steel and everything's fitting nice. But if you've got anything with either bit of strain on it, you're going to find that it's going to be hard to keep them cleat-goes in it. Because some of them holes now that I've had drilled there before, after oblonging, right? So I'm going to turn around now and get this off. So I got it off. What you just saw me doing there now, there was a couple of spots. There was a low spot in through here, and there was another spot up here I didn't like, so I just ran through the English wheel again, just doing some tightening up on it. But the panel, when I let it go on the car, it came off really nice. There was not a lot of popping on the go, and the wheel lip and everything is there. So over here you can see now what I got done. I marked it all. You can see all the marks there. The marker. I'll come down here now just below. You can see here's all them holes there. There was 2 holes there, and there was 2 holes there, okay? 2 of them are nuisance. There's the hole I got now. There's the one I got there now, okay? So this one here would have been another hole put in here, and same with this one here. That one would have another hole. So it would have been 3 holes there, and you'd be fighting to figure out which one it is. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to trim this off about 1 inch below all this here. Get rid of everything off of that I don't need. Come right on down through here. Cleave all that off, just 1 inch above it. So I only got a strip in I got to remove. Come over, come down here, same thing. Well, I actually welded it on here. Had to break it clear where I had to cut off. But I'll do the same thing down through here. I'll cut that off there. I'll get that all prepped and ready to go. And I'll get the quarter panel prepped and ready to go. So I'm going to start putting it on permanently. So I went ahead and I trimmed it all off. Grinded off all my welds. Got it all prepped. Okay. So I got all this done here. All that's ready to go. So now I'm over here now, and what I'm going to do here next is I'm going to weld this up in here. All I'm going to do here right now is I'm going to sit down, I'm going to run a bead all the way around this here. Not a bead, now I'm going to tack it every so often, treat it the same way as you do the outside, inch at a time or so, and then let it cool, inch at a time or so, let it cool. I'm going to go ahead and get all that done, because that's just boring, just me spot welding again. And when I get all that welded up, I'll show you, and we'll get started grinding the outside. So I went ahead, like you've seen there, got that all welded up, then I ran over it with the stone, just a quick run, and just so I can turn around and clean it up so there's no slag or anything left in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come out here, I'm going to grind this off here, grind it flat on this side, grind it flat on this side with the 24 grit, and get this here, get a nice shape out here first. So this here got a nice thing. I get a nice flat edge on both sides, and if there's anything I missed, I'll go back and I'll touch it all up, and then when I got it all done, there's a nice crisp edge there, I'll roll the edge off on it, right? I'm here doing the panel now. I'm going to show you. Here's what I got done. The welding is here now, so I grinded this side flat, okay? I grinded that side flat, as you can see up along here. Then I come along here and then I grinded this side flat. Alright, I grinded this side flat and I was left with a few little imperfections here. So I come over here and I touched up the few little imperfections, okay? Coming along here. Then I turn around, repeated the same process again. I grinded it flat here and I grinded it flat here, okay? Same process as before, come down here. Then when I had a nice crisp edge here, I just come down here and I rounded off my edge. That's all there is to the process. And there's the entire process done. Nice crisp lip all the way around there. Nice little minor rolled edge on it, looks factory, okay? So now this panel is almost ready. What I'm going to do here now before I finish everything off, I'm going to go around and check this out. There's a couple of small little low spots and high spots in this panel here that I want to try to work out. So I'm going to try to do that now. I'll probably use the English wheel, hammer dolly it, that type of stuff just to finish it off. And when I'm happy with that, then what I'll turn around is I'll take it over and I'll fit it on the car. As you can see, I can spin the top wheel and the bottom wheel is not even moving. It's just a very little tiny bit of pressure on it. Just enough to flatten out stuff and whatnot. Very pleased with it. I had a low spot down here. I had a low spot in through here. Had a low spot up here. Just light wheeling it. Made it nice and smooth. Let's go over and test fit that now and see what it fits like. There it is, just hung in place there now. I just got it hung by 3 Clecos right here. Okay. You look at it, it's just laying on its own on the panel. There's a couple of spots here, it's off a bit, like sticking off, it's got to be pushed in. Same with back here. Back has always been a bit of trouble, but it's a very little effort. Pushed in on that. Down on the bottom, all this here was laid flat down here, okay? Up down the side of her. You see the way that fits, that's a fairly good fit. I'm very pleased with that. Rub my hand across there, feels good. Looking down the wheel well, looks good. Right. On the other side, I ended up grinding all this off first, but I figured I'd wait till the end of it. I'm going to turn around and set this all up now. And start here on the back like I did, like properly, and start welding this on back here, tack welding it on, working my way around it, and get that position on the car where I'm happy with it, so then I can start doing the cut-and-butt along here and get that welded in. If you might remember, in the video where I installed this panel here, I ended up getting a tuck here where the panel ended up dipping in and whatever. Now that I got it all cut off, I can get the dolly in behind it and I can work it. And that's all I did, is I just took the flat dolly and the hammer, worked it along there, and I got that out. It's pretty good there now, so I got that all repaired. It's out. It's nice and straight there now. Straight enough. But I'll turn around now. I got that straightened away. I'm going to turn around and ready to put the quarter panel on. Quarter panel's going to come to here around anyway, so. All right, now I can install the quarter panel. So I went around now and I turned around and welded them every 4 or so inches, okay? I pushed in on it. I wanted it that way because I want the two metals tight together, okay? Some people would say, well, why don't you just leave it like it is and push in on it and do the Cut-N-Butt and whatever. This makes life a lot easier because nothing is moving. That panel is permanently mounted on that car now. That's not coming off. It's all welded down through here and up through here and down through here. So when you start cutting this and starts welding, the panel is not going to move on you over here. So having the whole panel welded in place is a bonus, okay? Now you can see in here, you can see the overlap. You can see how much I got left here, okay? That's where it's welded on the outside here. Oh, wait out. Sorry, right there. You can see what's welded out there. That's an old spot weld there. Anyway, you can see that there. There's an overlap there. So there's about 3/4 of an inch to an inch overlap all the way around that there. Now I've been asked it a number of times since, and I haven't gone over it in a long while. Everybody talks about doing the Cut-N-Butt and the 45-degree angle. I'm going to go over it very quick here now. The reason why I do it, okay? Like, you know, the 45-degree angle is like this. You're going in at the metal on an angle like this here instead of going and cutting it straight across here, okay? By doing it this way, you make a smaller gap. This here is thin, okay? When you cut through this here, the gap will get pretty wide, okay? By cutting it at a 45-degree angle, what you're doing is you're cutting the top panel and you're cutting the bottom panel and you're cutting the top panel at an angle. That way, when two of them comes together, sometimes you can do it and it'll actually be extremely tight. And you may have to run through it again to open it up because, you know, it's not good to have an overlap or anything there. But, you know, that's the advantage of it. This is what it looks like, blown up, okay? This is when you take it, this is your top piece of metal. This is your bottom piece of metal, okay? This is your cutting blade on a 45-degree angle. This is the way the actual cut looks like. It's going to cut through the metal this way here, okay? This distance here is when this falls down into here, which is down here, okay? This distance here. All right, when that falls down, you can see now there's a small gap there. Now, if you took the cutting blade and cut straight through it, you're going to have a wider cutting hole, and then you got a wide gap like so, okay? This is the reason why the 45 is so good, because your top metal is ahead of the bottom metal, and so when it falls together, it got a tendency to have very little or no gap at all, and it makes it a lot easier to weld. So that's basically all that is the 45 to the straight, and you know, it's a cutting blade, and what you're doing is you're making a thinner cut than that again, okay? Just by cutting on a 45. I haven't gone over that in a long while, so I figured I'd just cover that. So I'm going to go ahead now and start in on this one here now, start doing the Cut-N-Butt up along this here, and get that all cut and get that welded in. Now when I start the Cut-N-Butt, I like to start in a corner because the corner got to be pushed in. And when you push the corner in and get it in place, it helps drop this panel in on the equal to the other panel each time you do it. Now if you look closely at that, you can see it's gone flush right here, okay? I forced it in the corner, and then it tapers off as it comes up. So what I'll do is I'll continue on up here. This will want to pull in now because there's a strain on the panel right here. But you can look at how tight that is, look. That's how tight of a cut you get on the 45. So I'm going to go ahead now and continue on and do some more of that. All I do each time is I'll cut from here to here and stop, push this one in, I'll re-weld the spots that I've already done. The reason why I do that, it makes it easier to remove the panel from the inside. Now I'm cutting through here. This is a cut here, but this is actually, if you look straight in at that, that's actually still overlapped, okay? You've noticed me go back every now and again and making another cut. Look how tight that cut is. Okay, I'm doing that with a zip blade. Right? So, you know, right here now, that's overlapped. I'll go back in here on a 45 again, give that another little slice. There, I cut it again. Now it's in, and it's nice and flush. Right? Now, just look at this. Look, I can't put the blade in there. That's how nice and snug that went. Right? So I'm going to go on now and get all this here all cut and get it all set up so I can get the piece out from behind it. You see me going from spot weld to spot weld and then welding them, and then scatter time I put one in between them. But you're probably saying, well, why don't you just do a whole section of them? Here's what happens. I've done this on purpose now just to show you. I wanted to cut to this one here, and instead of stopping there, I kept going to the next one, okay? So I cut from here to here. What has happened now is this panel here is dropped below this panel. Over here is still good, look. Right there is good. Back here is good. But right here, the panel is actually below us. Cutting wheel. Look. It's below it. This is what will happen. This panel will fall too far. Now I'm going to pull that out. I only done that on purpose there just to show you. But that's the reason why I only go like 4 inches at a time. Because it helps you control. You want to watch the panel fall, and the panel will start to fall, and if you keep going, it'll keep going, and it'll fall below the panel itself, right? So just remember that. How I fix that problem is all I do is I go up here ahead of it, and I pull out on it, like so. That's nice and flush there now. I can weld that there now. Now up here you can see that the actual panel is not squared off, it doesn't go over and go down. I done that because it's a large radius, okay? You can do a large radius with a Cut-N-Butt with a large wheel, okay? Just take your time, cut in through it. You'll find that it's extremely tight because it really tightens up when you cuts it. So you may have to cut it twice. So, like, you know, and all you're doing is just cut with the top of the blade. You're not going too far in, just the very top edge of the blade, okay? I figured I'd just show you that because that's an actual radius you're going down through there. It's a bit tricky, but I'm only doing it like every 4 inches, cutting it to here, and then working this back here. I may have to run it the blade through it a couple of times to get the gap to open up a small bit, and then I'll move on down. And that's it. Full Cut-N-Butt put in place. All flush mounted. Run your finger across that there. That's one of the reasons why you don't see me wear gloves a lot. That's one of the main reasons, because I'm always feeling the metal, and it's so hard to do it with a pair of gloves on. And it's just one of those things. I just try to be very careful I don't burn my hands. But you see me put a glove on when I reached into the quarter panel to get that piece of steel out there. Only one glove though. What I'll do first is I'll go around and I'll check in between each one, rub my finger across it, tap it high, you know, dolly it if I can, get a dolly in the back side if it need to be, and I'll start tack welding this around here about every inch or so and start working my way around. So I'm happy with the actual fit of it all. Once I get to about every inch or so apart, then I'll go back and I'll start welding it all the way around there, let it cool, weld it all the way around there, let it cool, just spot welds. The whole panel is going to be welded on with a spot like that, okay? A whole row of them in place. If you start running beads, it's gonna tuck on you, okay? One thing, and if it burns a hole, don't spend too much time on it, or go away from it, come back to it again later. Heat is your enemy on this stuff here. The time that you spend welding this up here, taking your time welding this up here, saves you a pile of grief later on down the road. When it comes to doing filler work or, you know, having low spots and whatnot. It's very tedious work. You really got to take your time with it. So just one spot weld at a time. So I have everything welded about an inch all the way around now. Okay, you saw me up here the way I was doing. I was going in between each one, and I was checking to see if I liked it. I'd tap the top if it was too high, tap the bottom if it was too high, is what I did with it. And then there was a spot here where I didn't like it, so I ended up cutting it because it was high right by the weld. It was high coming up to the weld and high going away from the weld, so I just cut it and tapped it in, re-welded again, right? You're looking at this much of the car every single time. Don't look at this whole panel as this whole panel like here. I'm looking at this here, and that's all I'm concentrating on is that area there, okay? And I moves on to this area here, and moves on to that area there. So all I think about in that area there, okay? Now I'm happy where everything is to all the way around that. Now I'm just going to go back now and start banging this out. Spot weld, spot weld, spot weld, spot weld, spot weld, all the way around that. And just keep going around that there. Make sure that it's nice and cool. And what I mean by cool, you can touch it with your bare hand, okay? The cooler it is, the better it is. Because if that's too hot to touch, you're going to be asking for trouble, okay? And another reason why I don't wear gloves is because I like to check the metal. Make sure it's the right temperature. And like I said, the colder it is, the better. If it's still too warm, I'll turn around, I'll go back and I'll cool it off. Or I'll wait a little while, depends on the panel. This here, I can probably just cool it off because it's a nice tight panel with rolls and everything in it. So I'm going to go ahead now and just go around this and get this all welded up. And when I come back, this will be all welded up. That's about a half an hour there of just steady going. By the time I welded around here and I got over here, this was cold. So I just kept going around like that, around like that, around like that. Found a few spots up here. It was a bit thin, so I had pinholes. And I had to weld them up here and here, right? No big deal. And then I went ahead and I welded up all the other holes from the Glicos. Welded them up. So this is all fully welded up now. All I got left to do now is I'm going to sit down and grind all this. So I'm just going to take my time and grinding it all. You got to watch it warping as well with grinding, and so you got to take your time with that. Don't get carried away with it. But like again, this is a crown panel and it's tighter, so you can get away with a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead now and start grinding this up. So here's where I'm to with it. What I've been doing here now is I'm basically taking a section of it, grinding it, doing the spot welds on it, grinding again, finishing it, doing another section, grinding it, finishing it, re-welding it, finishing it, doing any metal work or anything got to be done, no tapping it, high spots, whatnot, and then I'm stripping the panel. I'm done to here now. I got everything done twice on this and regrind it, and I'm just going to finish this section off here now. That's all I got left to do, but you know, it's a big undertaking. I'm about 40 minutes just doing this section here and just taking my time with it, changing up discs. I had to give the compressor a break because that's steady going, but that's the outcome of there. Right, looks good looking down the side of it and everything. Now there is, like, you know, it do need to be filled, okay, but it's all there. All I've been doing with that is grind that off a 24 grinding disc, right? You can finish that off, and then all I have to be filled and whatnot. This is 18 gauge metal, okay. The MIG welder is a little 110 MIG welder, 023 wire with CO2 gas. A lot of people ask me that, and I keep forgetting to add it in all the videos. People wonders about that. So I'm going to go ahead now, finish grinding off these welds here, get all them re-welded again, get this all stripped off so I can get this section of the quarter done. So there it is. All that side is done. What you saw me at down there was quite interesting. Over the years, I've done this type of technique if I can get at it. I can get at the back of this with a pair of vice grips, but I couldn't get at it with a hammer. And to me, a dolly, you couldn't get enough strain on it. Okay, you can hold a dolly in there, but hitting it, it just wouldn't put enough strain on it. What I did, as you can see, is I took a piece of flat bar and I welded it onto my vice grips, okay? What I was doing here was applying pressure to the low spot. She was tucked down through here, okay? For some reason, with a new piece of metal, and the new piece of metal was too, coming down here, everything was best kind, but when I got to this area here, it tucked in there, and it was in probably 1/4 of an inch for sure. So what I had to do is I had to figure out some way of getting out. I dollied it and all that type of stuff, and I said to myself, I'm going to weld that onto that now. And what you're doing is you're lining up the flat bar with the spot that is low, and you're laying it against that. Now, if you need more leverage on it, you see me put a piece of steel in behind it, that'll bring the piece of steel out more, so then you got more leverage to close it up on it. So, you know, and that's how I done it. And now you can look here, and you can see, it's gone, see? I got the tuck taken out of it. This is all it is here, okay? This is the piece of metal. This is what I call the tuck, okay? That's where I welded it, and it all tucked in there. Usually what happens is right here and right here, it kind of like it bubbles up on you. So I applied pressure to the back side of it, a lot of pressure, and it brought it out. And what I did then is I hammered it here and I hammered it here. What that does, that relieves it, and wherever the strain is to is going to want to push towards it. So there's a strain going against this here, so that's going to want to come this way because you're tapping it this way, and it's going to push against it like that. And that's all I did. It's just a little homemade thing that I done for getting rid of low spots like that. You can use it for getting dents out as well. It's a little trick that I done years ago, and I've after welding up a dozen things on these old vice grips trying to make stuff work. I find that like a hammer and dolly don't always get it. Used to be able to get these here in a body shop, and they're like forks, and they got points on them. You can actually like bring them together, and they'll actually knock dents into stuff to push it in. But I like the idea of the pressure, so I put a lot of pressure on. You can see it flattens it out, and then I just hammers next to it and everything, and then just works my way back and forth, up over it like that. Keep going back and forth till it'll eventually come out. Like it's not just going to come out very easy. I tried just clamping it first, and it just spring back on me. So I needed some pressure added to it. But I'm pleased with it. It came out. So it's another little trick to remember. Just a bit of flat bar. Don't worry about ruining your vice grips. That's what they're there for. I'll just cut that off. You see it already broke once. Snapped off. It's only tack welded on or just enough to hold it in place. But it's a neat little trick that you can use for your vice grips on. So now all I got left is to close in this section here and close in this section here. So I'm going to get two pieces now that I can lay in there and tack weld in place. And tack weld in place. That way I can actually weld them in there. And we'll have this quarter panel finished then. That'll be all. That's all that's left on the quarter panel. So I'm here now getting ready to put the piece in here on the back side here to fill this in. And I'm noticing what's going on here. For some reason I cut this. I don't know why it's like it. It's extremely short and it's on an angle, okay? If you stand back and you look at this here, if I can get it in the light the right way, there you go. You can actually see that that tips this way, okay? That's supposed to go straight down from there. So what I got to do is I got to put a piece in there first before it does anything else. So I got this strip here. I'm just going to lay this up in place here, like so. And I'm going to weld that down around, fold it around, then I'll trim it up so it's the right size. I'm not going to be concerned about making a piece the perfect size. It's nicer to have a larger piece that you can actually hold on to. So I'm going to go ahead now and weld it up in the corner there, and then work my way around and weld it on. So there you have it. All I did is like I showed there, as I turned around and extended it out, welded the piece on, trimmed it off. Then I put the plating system over the top of it, tack welded it in place, cut it off, grinded it flat, put a lot of heat in the cornered edge here, okay? Because we're so close on an edge, it should be fine for not warpage. But I like to put a lot of heat in there so I can get good penetration with it. And weld all that up there. And then I just grinded it off here, and roll off the edge of it. I never bothered to trim none of this up yet because I got to build a skirt system for this, and I might incorporate this into it. I don't know yet. Like I don't know how much of this I got to remove. So I got that one all done. So when I went and got that one, I went over and just repeated the same process again over on this side. It's the same thing. This side here, all I had to do was just cut the plate on it and weld it on and sand it down and everything. So that's the extent of that there. We got a full wheel weld in that now. The full quarter panel is completed all the way along there. So that's the quarter panel completed on this side. So now I got two quarter panels done. There's still a lot of work got to be done in this car. Some of you probably noticed when I was doing some welding, they saw this up here. I have this here. My plan is to put a strip, cut all that out. That's all extremely weak down through there. It's really thin. So I'm going to put a strip right up along here. I'm not going to get into that. Right now I have other things to be concerned about. My plan is with this because the customer wants to see the skirts on it. So next project for this now is I'm going to build skirts for it. And so that'll be the next video on this car. Will be about skirts. So that's it. Bit of troubles there making the wheel well. Had to redo it twice. It was strange because the other side was so easy to do, and this side here gave me all kinds of headache. Usually the second one is easier. That's never the case, is it? So, anyway, I hope the tips were good, and until next time. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, hit like and share. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe down the bottom of the page. If you want to donate to the channel, down below there's a button, Super Thanks button. If you want to click on that, it'll take you through the motions of making donations to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. We also got merchandise. Pop over to Fitzy'sFabrications.com and check out our merchandise. We have hoodies, sweaters, t-shirts, and stickers. Lots to choose from. Thanks for watching. It's amazing how many times I turn that camera on and that heater clicks in. Only when I turn the camera on does it click in. Man, oh man, oh man. Not once, it's 100 times.